Let me ask you about, because you mentioned NYU. What I find fascinating is how much amazing research there is. Speaking of science, right? Studying the effects of psilocybin, studying the effects of various psychedelics, MDMA, on the human mind. Right now, for helping people, but I'm hoping there'll be studies soon at Hopkins and elsewhere that allow people that are kind of more quote unquote creatives or regular people that don't have a particular demon they're trying to work through, a problem they're trying to work through, but more like to see what can I find if I utilize psychedelics to explore. Is there something you could say that is exciting to you, that's promising about the future, what currently is going on, but also the future of psychedelics research,
Yeah,
Hopkins and elsewhere?
the healthy normals, the healthy
The healthy
normals.
normal. I was looking for the right words because normal doesn't feel healthy, doesn't feel like a good term, and normal doesn't feel like a good term because we're all pretty messed up and we're all weird. So
Well, those with ontological angst in that case.
great.
Maybe that'll be a future DSM qualification.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that things like psilocybin, MDMA are useful for things like anxiety, depression, end of life distress, PTSD, alcoholism, you name it. And it's largely because of the clinical research that MDMA and psilocybin will probably be legal in some FDA regulated way in the next 5 years. But I mean, again, I start the first page of my book with this question: why do psychedelics work across all these different conditions? And the best that I could find is the meaning, right? Tony Bossis at NYU talks about psilocybin, for example, as meaning-making medicine, which is interesting because it puts it somewhere between a therapeutic and, again, this ontological instigator. What is it about psychedelics that creates these mystical experiences or mystical-like experiences? You can call them emotional breakthroughs. You can call them moments of awe. I do think we get locked up in the language, and we're somewhere between science and religion here, including legally. So the FDA is one route to this. What excites me about psychedelics is the First Amendment. What is this going to mean for religion? The freedom of religion being the first thing that's mentioned in the First Amendment before freedom of speech, freedom of assembly.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
If America is known for anything, it's a refuge for religious pioneers. And so we already have the Native American church, Brazilian-spawned churches that are using psychedelics. But what would happen if Judaism or Christianity or Islam were to begin incorporating the very ritual, very sacred, and discreet use of psychedelics as part of their liturgy? So not replacing the Sunday Eucharist in the case of Christianity, but part of the extra credit dimension of the faith.
Credit. And then we can, through practice, figure out how essential it is. It could be a minor thing. It could be a major thing. That's another thing I wanted to kind of ask you is I recently, despite the fact that I'm eating a huge amount of meat and I'm getting fat, but I'm loving it. This is actually, as of 2 days ago, I started this long road to training for David Goggins, to training back to getting back to competing in jiu-jitsu. So the fun is over. But I also partook in fasting, and there was a very strong, there's an almost like a hallucinogenic aspect to fasting, especially because it was a 72-hour fast versus a more common fast that I do, which is 24 hours. And a bunch of people talk about throughout history about the value of fasting in having these kind of visual, these kind of intellectual experiences. Also, there's meditation. Sam Harris with the hoodie. Do you have a sense that those other rituals of fasting, of meditation, and maybe other things could be as essential or more essential to the religious experience as psychedelics?
Yes, if not, and this is going to sound weird, but maybe not if more so. Right. I look at psychedelics as a catalyst for spiritual investigation, not as the superficial means to an end. I think their value is in kind of serving as a Google Maps for the kingdom of heaven. Ram.
All right, I like this.
Well, so Ram Dass's teacher said that when he was offered psychedelics, that it'll get you in the room with Jesus, but it won't keep you there.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that's all well and good, but what if you don't know where the house is in the first place? What if you've never had a mystical experience? What if religion is anathema to you? What if you hate God? What if all these words mean nothing to you? And they probably do for many, many people, and it's perfectly understandable. I think that we've lost the coordinates to these irrational states, again, that were prized throughout antiquity and that continue to be prized by the mystical communities, even in big organized religion. It just doesn't filter out that much. And so psychedelics, in my mind, help orient our minds, bodies, and souls towards the irrational, right? We talked about McKenna's invisible world that seems to have this symbiosis with our own and perhaps has this higher intent for us. You could very well just, take catalog of your dreams, right? And that would do it too. But psychedelics seem to be particularly fast acting, particularly potent and very reliable, especially in the clinical studies. And so I looked at them as biochemical discoveries, like Huxley did. Maybe it's once in your life or infrequently, right? But maybe that's the beginning of a genuine introspection and a life well examined, as the ancients always instructed us.
Yeah, it does seem like in the research that's the effectiveness of psychedelics always comes with the integration, where you use it, just like you said, as a catalyst for thinking through stuff. It's not going to be. I don't even know if Google Maps. Oh, maybe Google Maps is the right analogy, but it doesn't do the driving for you. you still have to do the driving. It just kind of gives you the directions. So after you come down from the trip or whatever, you still have to drive.